Buddha is there in the beginning and in the end, but then the main teaching is given by Vimalakirti in the middle when the Buddha is not there, which is unusual. That's why it's the teaching of Vimalakirti. It doesn't mean it's not Buddha's teaching or a Buddha Sutra, but it means that this is one that was spoken by Vimalakirti. However, it begins with Buddha. Buddha had a principle that when he would go to a particular city, he would accept the first invitation that he received from whoever it was to stay there. Usually he would never stay in a house. He would stay outside in a grove or in some sort of little pavilion outside in the garden of some house. He didn't stay in people's houses, but he would stay with whoever would prepare a place for him. And when they heard that he was coming to Vaishali, which was sort of like New York or something, the mayor and all the eminents of the city rushed out in their chariots to greet him and invite him to stay in the town, the Central Park or something, with his 500 monks. And a woman who was something like the geisha or movie star or the chief beauty of the city, she went out galloping in her chariot, and she got there first. And she said, "Buddha, will you stay with me in my grove in the suburbs?" And of course, and Buddha agreed by remaining silent. That's how he would accept an invitation. I guess maybe he would not. I don't know if he nodded. They don't say, but they say he assented by remaining silent. So apparently he only said something if he was going to say no. So then the mayor and all the grandees of the town came there. Oh, and then they were so annoyed to see this lady ahead of them, and then the Buddha and his monks were going off to her grove, and it was sort of like, instead of staying with President Bush, you're staying with, Angelina Jolie or something. So they were all huffy and they were boycotting. They weren't going out to the grove to receive teachings. But then, who came out? All the young people. The Kumaras, the young yuppies of the town came out. And they said, we're not going to follow this stuffy thing of the old people, old folks. The old fogies, we're going out to listen to Buddha out in the grove of Amrapali. Her name was Amrapali. So they came out there, and they laid down, they had these precious parasols. So the Lichavi Bodhisattva Ratnakara, his name, Ratnakara means jewel mine. That was the leader of this group of 500 yuppies. With 500 Lichavi youth, the Lichavi was the nation of people who lived in Vaishali, because India, has always been a multinational continent, really not a country. Each holding a precious parasol made of seven different kinds of jewels, came forth from the city of Vaishali and presented himself at the grove of Amrapali. Each approached the Buddha, bowed at his feet, circumambulated him clockwise 7 times, and laid down the precious parasol in offering and withdrew to one side. Now here's where when I was translating this, I was so shocked. As soon as all these precious parasols had been laid down, suddenly, by the miraculous power of the Lord, they were transformed into a single precious canopy, so great that it formed a covering for this entire billion-world galaxy. It's like a universe, really, rather than merely a galaxy, but in another way there's many, many universes, and so we think of galaxies. So it's a lot of translators' choices how to translate this. But the Buddhist worldview, even at this time, and this time is either 2,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago, depending on which type of Buddhism you follow, they already had multiple universes, and aliens, and visitors from outer space. But their aliens, they were more secure in their sort of sense of self and their sense of identity, the Indian people at this time. So their aliens didn't have to look like Casper the Ghost. Their aliens were handsome, beautiful, bejeweled bodhisattvas and things. I was so disappointed in the Close Encounters when the alien came out. To be non-threatening. So I didn't know what was this precious canopy. You imagine a jeweled parasol of the beautiful Indian ornate jewels, and then 500 of them fused into a big thing. It's like a planetarium in a way. And yet this planetarium encompasses the entire universe. So The surface of this entire billion-world galaxy was reflected in the interior of the great precious canopy, where the total content of this galaxy could be seen. Limitless mansions of suns, moons, and stellar bodies, the realms of the gods, dragons, ogres, fairies, titans, eaglemen, horsemen, and great serpents, as well as the realms of the four Maharajas. There's a particular type of god. The king of mountains, Mount Meru, Mount Ratnaparvata, etc. All the great oceans, rivers, bays, torrents, streams, brooks, and springs. Finally, all the villages, suburbs, cities, capitals, provinces, and wildernesses. All this could be clearly seen by everyone. And the voice of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions could be heard proclaiming their teachings of the Dharma in all the universes. The sounds reverberating in the space beneath the great precious canopy. So it's like a huge planet. So he creates this special effect where this huge canopy, and then people see in there their interconnectedness with an infinite nexus of life. And all many different universes, many limitless mansions of suns and moons means many different solar systems and universes. And so there's different worlds. It's the bays and cities and oceans and things of different worlds. They see all of that. And they hear the Buddha's voice reverberating throughout all of these different universes, multiverses. It's quite a cosmic vision. So I was shocked reading it because it's like a miracle. And anyway, what's the point? Buddha hasn't given any teaching, and yet he creates this sort of special effect where everybody suddenly has a different sense of context, like where they are. Instead of thinking, I've just gone out of town, I'm in this suburban mansion of the great Angelina Jolie of our day, and I'm sitting in the thing with the Buddha's 500 monks and thousands of bodhisattvas are there also, but sort of magical bodhisattvas. But anyway, I'm sitting there and I've come from Vaishali, I give them my parasol, I sit down, and that's where I'm sitting. So the context there would be your ordinary reality that you're sitting in. Right, that would be your context, and you're sort of your ordinary self, and you're your ordinary lecture, and then you have your ordinary mental thing going on in your mind, like I'm getting a lecture, like what they say, what does it mean, what will I do with this? Your mind is maybe thinking about yesterday. Well, I hope he doesn't go on too long. I'll be too tired tomorrow, and whatever. And that somebody said something to me at lunch, so you're just all ordinary, you see. So then suddenly, boom! There's this whole thing. You see the entire universe, like a super special effect all around you, all the multiverse. No, there's no entire to it. It's going on limitlessly, and there's millions of beings. They're all listening to the enlightening speech of the Buddhas, and so you're in a completely different place. Like imagine, when we're in a situation, and we could do something better or something worse in the situation, and what is it that gets us to do something worse sometimes? We sort of say, well, it doesn't matter. Or we say, everybody else does like that. Why should I be different? So we have our ordinary context in which we excuse ourselves living at a certain level. And suddenly, if we had a vision of all the beings in a multiverse, in many planets, doing great things, like here on this earth, right now, we have a bunch of idiot rulers. Not just ours, they all are idiots. And they think they're having a war or something, and they're driving in tanks, and they're bossing people around, and they can press buttons and obliterate everybody, and they think that makes them important. And everybody's scared of them, And so, if we think that's the way it is forever, we go, oh, that's the way it is. It'll always be like that. So then we justify living in fear. And then by justifying living in fear, we're afraid of everybody, and then by being afraid, we have idiot rulers. Because they fool us and lie to us about how they can protect us. As do the Russian ones, as do the Chinese ones, not just us. So, but then if we suddenly were aware of like a billion planets with billions of different people, and we had like a sense of the presence of them, and they were all not behaving like that. And they were being peaceful and intelligent, and if they had global warming coming, they cooled things down. Instead of pumping more heat into it, they behaved sensibly. And then we were the only ones behaving like idiots. And then we might say, well, we're really going to do something to change. Because we're in a different context, you follow me? So he creates a context like that for the people anyway. The Buddha does.